Blue rare. Blue rare is the least cooked level of steak, and it's cooked just enough to warm the inside while keeping it almost completely raw. The outside is quickly seared at very high heat for a short time, usually less than a minute per side, which creates a thin crust while the inside stays cool to slightly warm and very red. Because it's barely cooked, the texture is extremely soft and almost raw-like, and the flavor is very pure and meaty. This level of doneness is usually only recommended for very high-quality cuts of beef, since there's minimal cooking to break anything down or add additional flavor through browning. Rare. Rare steak is slightly more cooked than blue rare, but still very red in the center. The outside is seared to create a crust, while the inside remains cool to warm with a soft, tender texture. It's typically cooked to an internal temperature of around 50 to 52 degrees Celsius. Because it's not cooked for long, the meat retains a lot of its natural juices, making it very juicy and flavorful. The texture is still very soft, and the flavor is more pronounced compared to more cooked steaks because less moisture is lost during cooking. Medium rare. Medium rare is one of the most popular levels of doneness and is often considered the ideal balance between tenderness, juiciness, and flavor. The center is warm and red, but not raw, and the steak has a well-developed crust on the outside. It's usually cooked to an internal temperature of around 55 to 57 degrees Celsius. At this stage, some of the fat has started to melt, which enhances the flavor and gives the steak a juicy, rich taste. The texture is tender but slightly firmer than rare, making it a favorite for many people. Medium. Medium steak is more cooked with a pink center that is surrounded by a larger area of browned meat. The internal temperature is typically around 60 to 63 degrees Celsius. At this level, more moisture has been lost compared to medium rare, so the steak is less juicy but still tender. The flavor becomes slightly more developed from the cooking process, and the texture is firmer. This level is often chosen by people who prefer less redness but still want some juiciness. Medium well. Medium well steak has only a small amount of pink remaining in the center, with most of the meat fully cooked. It's usually cooked to around 65 to 69 degrees Celsius. At this stage, much of the moisture has been cooked out, so the steak becomes noticeably firmer and less juicy. The flavor shifts more toward the browned, cooked taste rather than the natural flavor of the beef. It's still edible and flavorful, but the texture is much less tender compared to lower doneness levels. So, even though these doneness levels can seem very different, they're really just stages of how much heat the steak has been exposed to.